mate poaching is pretty common. So the research tells us that a lot of people do this to boost their pride and their self-confidence, and that perhaps they're suffering from low self-esteem. So capturing somebody else's mate makes them feel really good, unfortunately.
Nancy has lived a very tragic childhood. Her mother almost unalived her after she found out that Nancy been sleeping with her boyfriend as a teenager. Yes, her mother unalived herself through a tragic accident that left scars on Nancy because of a man. And that toxic cycle was how Nancy, almost met her demise because of another man. When Nancy married Robert, her life was changed. Here she was, a girl who had survived the trauma of child abuse, both from her mom, who chose her own resentment towards her daughter, than the justice from a PDF file, who was her boyfriend taking advantage of young Nancy. You get my drift? Like, Nancy's mom had a boyfriend, and the boyfriend was older, but the boyfriend was using this situation to lure teenage Nancy into a smeshwall relationship because he had the money and Nancy really needed the money so that she can continue with her ballet classes. But no, her mom didn't want to hear none of that. She went straight to punishing Nancy. But Robert was different. He quieted her anxious thoughts by loving her loudly and choosing her over Eleanor. He gave in to her whims and whims and together had the appearance of a perfect, wealthy, white family. The reason I mention their race is because of the higher social class that is assigned to them by societal standards that's different from Eleanor, her wealthy black friend. Nancy wasn't a good friend either, not because she didn't try to be a good friend, but because she was too caught up in being a victim of every circumstance that it spilled on her relationships with her daughter, husband, and friends. It was Robert's avoidant nature that kind of pushed Nancy into her friend Mary's husband. At first, she was dismissive of the guy, Howard, Mary's husband. She even said she didn't have the time, to babysit Howard in his new job that she helped him find. Now you would think like, okay, sure, maybe she doesn't really like him, but hold up. Nancy, who had been a victim, didn't want to see, Mary suffer or struggle. She wanted to help out her friend. And looking back, maybe she did it out of her own self-preservation so that people can view her as a good friend. You have my husband, oh, you're such a nice person. It wasn't really because she cared for Mary and the guy and their husband. She felt she had too much and Mary had too little, and in a way she related to that because once upon a time she was in that position. She wanted to believe that she wasn't like her wealthy husband and his family who solved everything with money, opportunities, and status quo. But sadly, if you sleep with dogs, you just might catch them fleas, okay? And she caught some. She caught the privilege, yeah. Slowly, her and Howard, Mary's husband, grew closer and had pet names for each other, forming a toxic and secretive bond. Toxic because behind her back, Howard and Mary had been sneaking around, Mary pretending to be Nancy, but I'll explain that later when it is Mary's turn, okay? But Nancy, she was too caught up in revenging her husband's alleged because she didn't have proof that Robert was cheating and he wasn't. So she was too caught up in this that she overlooked her friendship with Mary. She became the entitled class just like her husband and his family. She had a man at home, and instead of choosing self-respect when she noticed her husband's fishy behavior, she decided, oh no, I won't be the victim in this time. I won't be the girl that is left. I won't be the girl that is not chosen. So she became the villain. Yeah. Of course, she didn't tell Eleanor who really David, the fake name of the man she was cheating with, was. She gave, I don't know how Mary would feel if I tell her this. You know how she is so uptight about this stuff. Meanwhile, she's the one sleeping with her man. She was gaslighting her friend Eleanor to carry the burden that wasn't hers. Oh, let me just pile on this black friend because she doesn't have a husband, so I guess she'll get it. I guess if she told Eleanor, the black friend, of how promiscuous she is, Eleanor won't judge her because Eleanor was maybe also promiscuous, or it's the stereotype of black women being promiscuous and keeping. Let me not go there because I can go there, but let's stop here, okay? You know what reactions theory is? The thing Nancy was struggling with was when someone perceives their freedom of choice is threatened by authority, they often experience psychological reactions, motivating them to reassert that freedom through defiance or bypassing them rules. Friends like Nancy have no choice in their finances and how family money is spent, so they take back control by sleeping with your man. They take your man and marry them, and when they feel a little discomfort in their choice, they make other weird choices to counter that feeling of helplessness. Friends like Nancy have a victim story that rules how they perceive human interaction. If anything is going so well, but there's this little discomfort or disagreement or situations that they don't know, they revert back to self-sabotaging, doing extreme things just so they can feel at home, because their nervous system is used to flight or fight mode. So when things are going good and then it stops, it's like, wait, I've been here before, this is how I should act then. I know life has been so cruel to them at one point, which is a sad thing. I have empathy, y'all, don't get me wrong, but they move life expecting everyone to make room for and deal with their pain. No one can really get into your soul like that and heal that pain within, unless it's Jesus Christ, or you do it on your own. You face your own monsters and yourself, but that is really hard for people who have been through it. So maybe I get it, and still maybe there needs to be some sort of accountability, especially when you have a child and you've grown out of the situation and you're way older. Friends like Nancy pour out their heart to you, giving you their deepest trauma and pain, forming this bond with you, hoping you would overlook all their other poor decisions just because at one point and in their head they deserve every compassion and compensation of their pain, even if you are not the villain or the perpetrator of their trauma. It's okay to lean on friends for deep emotional needs if you trust their safe space. It's not okay that they make every bad choice in their life and expect you not to react to it because, oh, I was the victim once. What do you mean? They assume that reality should shift and worship at the altar of her pain even when they have good things going on around them. Like, come on, you're married to a wealthy family, you have a child, I know you're keeping up a facade because you're assuming that all this money is not going to be used or you're going to be separated, but god dang, you can afford therapy, right? You can afford rehabs at this point, but you still want to go around with this victim mentality, which is not good. Okay, everybody goes through stuff, even me. Some more trauma than others, but no one owes you the healing and the work, the inner work, the soul work. It's the soul that needs a surgery and choices that comes after that, especially as a grown person with your own family and your own friends. At the end, Nancy betrayed her friend Mary by choosing what was convenient for her to soothe her pain over her bond with Mary. Even the little Mary had that wasn't Nancy's, she took and paid a heavy price because she was not taking Mary's man but took Mary's problems and his psychopathic, manipulative, narcissistic man. She again and finally became the victim of another tragedy, and this time she didn't survive it. She was gone forever, leaving conflicting memories of what her friend Nancy truly was. At this point, just rest, Nancy.